Welcome to the shop here at Wood Spun Round. This is Doug and I am glad to have you with me tonight. We're going to do a pretty simple bowl tonight, but this is for yet another challenge. Last month we talked about the YouTube cross-channel challenge where the theme was flame. We did the vase piece with the charcoal and fire. This month, the challenge is flower or floral. So stick with me. See what the piece that I turn will be a real simple bowl, but how I treat the bowl so it has flower, that's what you need to see. We'll be back. Still flat. Almost there. Another shaping cut out here. I had to take some of my curve out. We'll correct that now. All right, I left you before and I told you that what I would do, I was going to sand, turn it around. Well, I started to sand and I realized I still had a ridge. Some of you may have noticed that ridge on there and wondered what in the world is he doing? Well, I did notice the ridge. I have turned it off, sanded all the way to 320. I used my abrasive grit. I have turned it around. I have established my rim. It's maybe an 1/8 of an inch thick on my rim, so my bowl is going to be thin. Well, it would be thin except for what I'm going to do. My flower design is going to be on the top. So what I'm about to do, I was about to get myself out of order. Here's what I was about to do. First thing I want to do is put some sanding sealer on. Okay, sanding sealer. And then I'm going to paint this black, and then I'll show you a string pull method of putting some flowers on here. I think I'm going to try 3 small flowers on here using a string pull technique. So I'll bring you back in just a few minutes after I have put the sanding sealer and the paint on. We're back in the shop. It's actually been a couple of days, actually been a week or so. But I have sanded and painted the top side of this bowl. There is just a touch of overspray, but because I waxed the bottom side, it should come off very easily. Even if I have to sand it back a little bit, the wax finish is not going to be a big deal to repair. I have pulled out 3 of my Jo Sonja paints. What I've got is blue, violet, and red. And I'm going to attempt to make 3 string pull flowers on the top of this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with a little bit of flow medium just to thin this paint just a little bit. This is a very creamy, kind of a thick, creamy paint. If you're not familiar with the Jo Sonja paints, they come out of the tube white. Once they go on to the black, the iridescent color can reflect out of that black paint. It's very interesting how it works. But these paints all come out of the tube the same creamy white color. And so you really don't know what you have when it comes out of the tube. When you start putting it in the pots and even thinning it some, you might get a little color, but when you really get the color is when you get it thin on top of the black. I'm just putting a few drops in each of these. That was not what I was expecting out of this flow medium. I'm not sure what I was expecting. I've not used this before. This is a watery, clear flow medium. And the purpose of the flow medium, it dilutes the paint somewhat as far as its texture, but not as far as the color. The color should remain just the same. There we go. You may be able to see that came out white, completely white, which is really strange. I keep the tubes out. In fact, I'll keep them right where they are in the same order so I don't confuse myself and go thinking I'm picking up one color and I'm picking up something else. And I think I have them in the order I want them. Blue and violet are going to end up next to each other no matter what. I was really kind of wanting to separate the 2 of them, but I'd have to go to 4 colors to actually do that. I have 3 sticks here, 1 for each color. I'm just mixing up the paint a little bit so that it will be nice and even. And I'll be putting my string down into this paint to get the color on the string. I'll lay it on the black surface and then we'll pull it off. I'll lay it down and then pull it off so that I get the effect that we're looking for. First one was the red, nice and mixed. It mixed very well. This is the violet that I'm mixing now. You can't see it, I know, but I can see just a hint of the violet on the edges of the paint here in the pot. Trying to be careful not to knock this off. I need to make myself a platform that sits on my bedway so that I can do this kind of thing and have a little more stability. There we go. Here's the blue. And I hope I have enough paint. I didn't mix very much, just a little dab of each one. I don't want to waste it. The Jo Sonja paints actually do go a long way. I've done several projects already with the Jo Sonjas. Not on YouTube. I haven't made videos of those. But what I have done is posted a lot of pictures. Facebook and Instagram. and they've really caused a lot of interest. People who have not seen this technique. Here we go. Just got to get my string down into the paint, get it covered. Just kind of mix it around. Looks like I'm making a mess. And I can tell you right now, I do not have enough paint. So what I'm going to do, go ahead and pull my string out. I think I can hang it over here very gently. There it went, right in the sawdust. Right in the sawdust. Guess that's why you need to. There we go. Cut the sawdust off, but I think I got almost all the paint off as well. All right, let's mix up some more. Let's mix up some more. All right. There's the red. Add a little more violet. A little more blue. Now I should have enough. And I guess really, I did think about having my paints mixed up before I brought the camera back in. Decided I'd do this on camera so that you could see just how really simple this is. All right, here's the red and the violet. I want to mix these thoroughly. I don't want clumps of paint that hasn't been thinned with the flow medium, which would then cause weird things to happen. At least in my mind it would. All right. I'm going to go back to my red string. I think I've got it cleaned off enough. I hope I do. All right. More string that's now covered in the paint, covered well. Pulling some more string down in there. I probably don't need as much string as I've put in the paint either. All right. Here is attempt at flower number 1. I can get my stick. I'm going to want that. Okay, I'm just going to touch the string just a little bit to make sure it's down on the wood. Like I said, I'm just simply going to, you see it's squiggled around, I'm simply going to pull to make a nice little flower design. That was the red. Put the string back in my little pot just to get it out of my way. All right, here's purple. Get my string. There we go. If you've done this before, you see where I kind of messed up a little bit. But the fun thing is, this is such an abstract idea for a flower that this little area here is extra, but it really doesn't matter. It's almost like there's another flower behind it. Okay, here's my string. I'm going to turn this. That was not what I meant to do, but we're going to make it work. Here we go, pulling it straight down again. There we go. There's the purple. Now, I've got here we go. A little bit on my fingers. Let's get it off. Just because I don't want to get it in places I don't want it. Okay, we've got red. We've got purple. As you can see, the colors are kind of whitish right now. And the way I understand it, that's the carrier that's in the paint. The iridescent paint needs a carrier. That's the way I understand it. And as such, that's why it comes out the color that it does. All right. Wow. This is neat. But I can already tell my little bowl section is going to be it's going to be very small. And or it's going to cut into my flowers just a bit. And that's not bad either. Okay, I'm going to pull this. There we go. Started pulling at just a little bit of an angle, and then I'm straightening it out. There, that's the one I've been looking for. All right. And actually, I don't have a lot of wasted paint. I thought I would. All right. So what we see here now is my 3 flowers on the top of the bowl. They have been, that is paint. It's an acrylic paint, and it will take a little while to dry. So I'm going to, we'll cut off here. I'm going to give this a bit to dry on its own. I want those colors to come up as vivid as they possibly can. Like I said, red, violet, blue, they will come up more vibrant than what they are. The red is one of the colors that I've never been extremely happy about. And so that's one reason I want to let it dry on its own, see if it'll be even more vibrant. We'll come back here in just a little while after this has time to dry, and we'll look. We may add, with a brush, I may add just a little bit of gold iridescent paint. So I'll bring you back in after this is dried. Okay, so here you have it. It is dry. The red, the purple, the blue, they have, they're totally dry. They look pretty good. I still go with what I said earlier. The red is the one color that has really kind of disappointed me in all of this, and it always shows up pink. Always shows up pink. I've never gotten it to be red. In fact, I've never seen anybody else's that has come up red either. So I don't think it's just me. I think it's just the way it does. So there it is. So what we're going to do now, we're going to put it back on the lathe. It's still on the chuck. I'm going to put it back on the spindle here. Turn out the center. I'm just going to turn a small spot, so it's going to take a little bit of all 3 of those colors out of there. But those flowers will still surround the center area. There we go. Unlocked. Let me check one thing. Yes. Yeah, you can still see that. In fact, it's not a bad shot. You'll be looking right down on top of what I'm doing. And we're all clear. I'm going to start this at 1,000 RPMs. Like I said, all I'm going to do is turn out the center and not a whole lot of it. Normally I would have this turned around on more of an angle, but I want you to be able to see. I'll raise my tool rest just a touch. We'll probably put it right back down. That's strange. I've come in and checked that a couple of times and there's no sawdust on it, and come in here now when it's totally dry and it's got sawdust on it. Let's see, I just want to look at it one more time, see where it is. Yeah, that's that. Take another look at it. I may want to cut out a little more of those flowers. But you know what? That looks doggone good. That's pretty balanced all the way around. Coming pretty close right up to the stem. Well, it's right to the stem on two of them. The purple, it's a little ways away from the stem. A little more room here. But I like it. I'm going to go, I'm going to make it just a little deeper. I'm not trying to get all the way to the bottom. This is going to be a big heavy piece. I knew that from the very beginning. The back side is sanded to 320. The inside is sanded to 320. I've got my abrasive paste here. I'm going to spread this on the back side first. I want to do that. I really don't want any on my painted surface on the front. And so we're going to concentrate on the back side here. This abrasive paste will complete the sanding process. This is in preparation of the finish. This is not a finish. It has beeswax, mineral oil, but those are carriers for the abrasive grit that it has. This is a diatomaceous earth grit. It is very similar to Triple E that is used in other industries. It's used in wood turning as well. I'm going to put my lid on just for now. We're not going to worry about this inside right this minute. Only worried about the outside. We're going to start at 250 just to let this abrasive grit or abrasive paste do its work. What is that? Oh, it's a chunk of paste. I'm not pushing tremendously hard, not a lot of pressure. It's already pulling the paper apart. Increase the speed to 500, still using that same spot on the paper. I think I said at the very beginning of this video that this piece is for a challenge. It's the YouTube cross-channel challenge. Quite a number of channel holders that are part of this. This is a year-long challenge. Every month will be a different theme. For January it was fire. This month it is floral. Speeding up again. This time we're going to move to the other end of the same piece of paper towel. It's clean. Start working that out. The paste has done its job. What I was saying was that this challenge was originated by Daniel Dubois. His channel is Tournage Dubois. Just got to know him recently. Change my paper, increase my speed, working it off until the paper comes off clean with no residue. Still getting a little, probably the next turn will take care of it. So anyway, Daniel started it in January with the theme of fire. This month, another turner. He is not only an outdoorsman, but an avid gardener. So his theme for this month was flowers. Have no idea what March will be. If you are a turner and you would like to be a part of this, find Daniel Dubois on YouTube. Tournage Dubois, and he has all the explanations and the understanding there on his channel. He'd be glad for you to join. You probably won't get to choose a theme. I won't be able to choose a theme either. Way too late for that. I'm not one of the first 12. So, but anyway, all right, I'm going to increase my speed one more time. There we go. And I'm going to get a fresh piece of paper towel. Should come off clean. But anyway, it's a lot of fun, and to take these challenges, let me tell you what, it's sometimes it takes a challenge just to get us moving, to get to do something. Like I said, I've been out of the shop for over a week now. Just was not motivated to get in here. This is what got me to come back in, knowing that I had this project to finish up. It was so close. It was not done. I wanted to get it done. Again, just a little bit on the inside of this bowl section. Don't want it out on my paint. Slow it down to 250. I know I didn't have much to do on it, just take a little time. You have the advantage of it being on video, and I've cut out a lot and will cut out a lot. I'll do a little more editing before I publish this. But even just waiting for the iridescent paint to dry, it took much longer than I anticipated. I thought it'd dry in about 30 minutes. It was almost 3 hours because some of it, quite honestly, was a little thicker than what it should have been. And anytime you get paint thicker than what it needs to be, it tends to take longer to dry. Accelerate to 500 here. Some people want to rush abrasive paste. You don't need to rush it. Take your time. You go a couple of minutes at each speed. I'm just going through the presets. My controller here has it's one of those infinite speed control, but it has four preset. Well, it has four primary presets and then four more secondary. It just goes on up above the 1,000 RPM. In fact, it goes from 250 all the way to 2,000 RPM on the presets. But I've also got a dial here. I can do it any way I want to. It's just for this, my presets work well. I was at 250, I went to 500. I'm going to speed up. I'm going to change my part of the paper, but I'm also going to speed up to 750. Again, not pressing terrible hard. It's almost clean. I'm going to turn it inside out. I'm going to accelerate to 1,000 RPMs. I imagine I'm going to be clean on this one. And we'll go to wax, both inside and out. Yep. Wax, wax, wax. Wax on, wax off. Seeing an awful lot of people putting wax on under power right now. I don't know. They get good results. I'm not going to tell them they're wrong. I don't believe it's the right way to do it. Some of my abrasive paste I'm seeing on there. So we'll get it clean. That paper towel had been used for wax already, so I don't feel too bad about tossing it. There's wax on the outside. Doesn't take a lot of wax. What it takes is applying it nice and thin and allowing it to sit for just a couple of minutes before you go to buffing it off. I'm putting my lid back on. I'm not going to waste my paper towel. I'm going to save it because I'm going to apply another coat. I'll buff this coat off and then I will apply a second coat with that same paper towel that I had. I had a lump of wax out here, but I think I got it wiped off. I did. Good deal. Same on the inside. Knock off some of the sawdust that's gotten stuck. This outside, I've waxed that, but I want to put, I can still do it. I want to put lacquer on the top of this. That's 1,000. I'm going to go ahead and bump that up to 2,000. Again, very, very light pressure, letting the paper towel do the job of shining. Same on the inside, very light pressure, very light. speed of the lathe and the paper towel are doing the work. I'm not so worried about the inside of this bowl anyway. I'm going to take some denatured alcohol to it and just wipe it off so the lacquer will actually stick to it. Well, it feels good. I am going to put another coat of wax on that back side. Saw somebody's work the other day. They had put 4 coats of wax on their work, and it was beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Did not look like a lacquer finish, but it had a very nice shine to it. Very nice shine. This is advertised as a high gloss wax. This is Hampshire Sheen's food safe and toy safe high gloss finishing wax. Did hear somebody say the other day as well, they like to rub theirs until it begins to grab. Mine just began to grab. So I'm going to stop there. Let it sit for just a minute while I'm waiting. I'm going to go ahead and clean this inside. There we go. Clean this inside with a little denatured alcohol. That will kind of strip that wax. I've got to be very careful not to get it on my paint. There we go. That will flash off very quickly, especially as I turn it on and buff this wax off the back. Don't want to use the same area I used last time. Of course, I turned it. In fact, I'll flip it inside out, which will give me 2 clean surfaces. Looks better, feels better already. Keep moving. You don't want to, if you put too much on, it tends to cause it to streak. Put too much pressure on the wax as you're buffing it, it will cause it to streak as well. So you just very lightly, you're buffing. You're not trying to burnish. If you're building up a lot of heat and it's hot on your fingers, you're putting too much pressure on it. Far too much pressure. All right. I may buff that or may wax it some more later, but for right now, you get the idea. Where is, there it is. Get my Lazy Susan out. I'm going to lock this down. Oh, that's, why is it doing that? All right. I'm going to go ahead and take the chuck off, have it out of my way. Maybe you can see those colors even better. The blue, the purple, the red. And really, honestly, I fussed about the red. I will still fuss about the red because it's not red red. I want it red. It's more pink, but it is getting redder. It's getting darker, more vibrant. Purple is beautiful. The blue is beautiful. I was considering some gold, and I was going to kind of touch on the ends of some of these, and I've decided not to. It would look good, but I'm going to leave it as it is. I'm just using rattle can lacquer. Buy it at any hardware store, big box store, even some of your dollar stores will have it. Just inexpensive. It doesn't have to be very expensive. And especially with the black is an enamel. The iridescents are acrylic. And I could use an acrylic spray, a clear acrylic. My wife would appreciate that. She does not like the smell of lacquer. But one, she's not home right now. And two, I'm afraid the acrylic might make the iridescence run a little bit. So I'm using lacquer, regular cellulose lacquer, rattle can, not expensive, easy to use. And I will put several light coats on here is what I will do. Spraying more out toward the edge than I am toward the center. There's some is getting in the center, so that's good. And I'm going to stop right there. I'm not going to do any more. Leave it just like that. I'm going to put on several coats. I'll probably put on 4 coats, come back, and lightly knock this back with a Scotch-Brite pad. And I'll build up then 2 coats at a time. 2 coats, knock it back. 2 coats, knock it back. I'll bring you back when we're toward the end. The lacquer has been applied. You see I put it back on the lathe. The last couple of coats I wanted to do it on the lathe with it turning. Had it down at 250, which is my lowest preset. We've talked about that a good bit. And I could continue on building it up, sanding it back, building that glass-like finish. Anyway, I'm satisfied with it the way it is. Let me take it off and get it so you can see it real well. Here we go. As you can see, the blue, the purple, the red flowers, kind of like a calla lily with a nice gloss lacquer shine. In fact, after I need to remove the tenon yet, but after I do that, I may come back still and continue to lacquer this and just build it up, get it really nice and smooth all the way out to the edge. It's got a little line in it. The only thing I can assume that's from is when I was doing it in the lathe. I need to come back and buff that back, apply some more, build it up and smooth it out. But let's put it back on here to get this tenon off. What I normally do, I normally put this usually put this friction chuck in the chuck and put my piece on here, but this is not nearly big enough for that to go in. I was looking for something else the other day, and I found a piece that I have used in the past. That's exactly what that's for, is to go in the chuck, be there to put a piece on. It is relatively straight-sided here. It's got a little curve to it, but that doesn't even matter. What does matter is that it's dished out in the middle and it's rounded over here. And that still will not going to go inside my face at all. But I didn't intend for it to. What I'm going to do, I've got these round foam discs that I'm going to use. That will simply pad the front. The center of that tenon still has a little indention. As you can see right there, this is where the live center was earlier when I was forming the bowl to begin with. And so I've got that, and that'll help me to get it centered. Then I can take this tenon off, and everything will be nice and round. I'll have some final sanding on the bottom to do and finishing it up. But I'll sand it off. I'll put my, there we go. I'll put my sanding disc in the chuck, and I can then hold the bowl up to this and sand it off real nice and neat. Also got an old carbide cutter there that I need to deal with at some point. Anyway, doesn't matter. Get my live center back in my tailstock, bring my tailstock up relatively close. That may be too close. Yep, I figured it was. Now let's see if I can juggle all of this. Now, that's too far. All right, the live center is in the divot of the tenon. Just kind of continue to move this around. I want it to be nice and centered. And lock it so that I can turn. I am nowhere near. Just a touch more pressure. Foam's got a good bit of compression to it, so looks like I'm fairly centered. Get that brought up here, tighten it down, spin it around. I'm taking a look. I'm looking between the tenon and the tool rest. It is pretty close. It's not perfect, but it's pretty close. I've always been fond of saying it's close enough for government work. Said that to one of my friends who was former military, and he said, well, you know, we have pretty exacting standards in the military, and that's government. I thought, well, yeah, you're right about that. You're government, but you're not government. You know what I mean. Anyway, let's turn it on. Yeah, it's off a little bit, but it's going to be okay. Well, if I push the button, it's tightened down. See what we can do by getting this tenon off of here. Very light cuts. Using pull cuts here because that puts my direction of pressure toward the headstock. I'll get the majority of this tenon off. And I'll make a couple passes from the outside edge toward the center just to, because I want to make it concave on the bottom. If you've watched Phil Anderson at Shady Acre Farms, he does a very similar method to this. I got it from him. When we nibble it down, get the bottom pretty well done. Then I will actually finish the turning. I'll turn the nub free. Unless it breaks out, I'll turn the nub free here on the lathe. Big part of it is patience, not forcing the tool to do the work, but to allow it to do what it is going to do on its own. I know I got plenty of meat here. That the bowl part, the hollow of the bowl, is not very deep at all. So I'm in no way concerned there. There we go. That should be plenty of hollow. Now what I want to do is to readjust my tool rest, so we'll probably readjust it again here in a couple of minutes. Right now I'm just getting it so we're closer. Still at 1,000 RPM, and I'll be slowing the lathe down here momentarily as well. The last step or two of this is done at about as slow a speed as I can get it. Couple more passes here, and then I'll be doing some sanding and some detail work. But I want to get this nub down pretty close to where we're going to go with it. First time or two I did this, you've probably seen where I like to put some rings on here for my maker's mark. And first time or two I did this, use this method, I forgot, so I could not finish by putting the rings on. Still able to engrave my maker's mark except for the rings that are turned in. All right. Last little cut before I do some finishing up here. Okay. One of the few times I will move the tail rest while the lathe is spinning. I was taking it completely out of the way, not adjusting it closer. I want to do my sanding here. What this will do will leave me just the area of this nub to sand off the lathe when I get done. 150 grit. .240. .320. All right, let's get it sanded up to 320. Bring my tool rest back up. We'll make some small detail lines. Those 3 rings that I like to have. Still at 1,000. Hadn't changed that at all. There we go. Had the tool rest too far under. Hitting my live center. Ring number 1. Ring number 2. Ring number 3. Grab my 320 one more time, just to get the fuzzies off those 3 rings, is all that's for. All right, now the fun starts. Raise my tool rest just a touch more higher. Bring it in just as close as I can get it without touching anything. Give it a spin or 2. All right, I'm gonna pick up my detail gouge, which is a spindle gouge with a long fingernail grind. Does a really nice job of getting in there close. Actually, I'm just a touch tall for this tool. It's pretty tall. Going about half to 2/3 of the way toward the top of the nub. I'm not coming all the way, but I can. Watched somebody else do that earlier. That nub just broke right off. Interesting how it does that sometimes. Well, and what that leaves is this little bit that needs to be worked on yet. And I'll do that with that sanding disc in the headstock. All right, so let's readjust real quick. Take my live center out, lock my headstock. Take out my jam chuck. I'm glad I found that jam chuck. I didn't realize I was missing it. Put in my sanding pad, which what I've done here, this piece of wood is it's a tenon off of another piece, and I was able to part it off and save it. I made a little cut in it and drilled a hole that was the same size as the shaft in my sanding pad. So now I've got that. I can just stick it in there, tighten her up, and what it does is when I tighten up, it squeezes. Actually, let me do one more thing. I wasn't paying attention. That sanding or that cut line, I want to put in between 2 of the jaws. And then when I close my jaws up, it squeezes on that, and this sanding pad now cannot come out. This is a homemade sanding pad. Not that that makes a whole lot of difference to you. It does the job. It does the job. I am going to start at 100 on this one because I have such a heavy piece there that I want to remove. Yeah, that foam pad left just a little bit of a mark on that lacquer. That lacquer wasn't real good and hard. Got to unlock. I do that more times than I care to remember. Going to knock it down to 250. Actually, I'm going to go to 500 is what I'm going to do. There we go. Let the sandpaper kind of do its thing. Not in a big rush. It's almost gone, in fact. It's that quick and easy. Especially with 100 grit on this. Whatever this wood is. I think it's basswood. I think. Alright. There's the 100 grit. Change to 150. In fact, I'm going to raise the speed up just a touch as well. I'm going to hit the whole bottom. Ain't half bad. Concentrate on that center just a little bit, smooth it up, just that much more. So I have made up my own mind because of my procedure. What I'm doing as far as putting more lacquer on, I am going to there we go. We're getting somewhere now. That was the 240. We'll go to 320, and then we're done. 320. I'll put my maker's mark on here using those lines as my guidelines. But there you have it. There is the... Let me get that dust off. My goodness. There's the YTCC 2021 challenge for February, which is flowers. Hope you've enjoyed that. If you have, hit the like button and also the subscribe button. That way, when I have more things to come up, you'll see it. If you'll hit the notification bell, it'll give you a little chime when I put something on. From time to time, I'll put something new on, whether it's a challenge or just one of the pieces that I turn just for fun. Been talking with some folks about doing some shorts, some little 1 minute or less pieces, so it'll be just a glimpse of some of the work that I do. So be looking for that. If you'll hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, then you'll get to see that. You'll get notified when those come up. Otherwise, if you'll just hit the like button and even make a comment, that will help my channel to grow so that I can do more and more work on YouTube. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time. Until then, spin them around.